Hello! Do you like to read? Personally, I'm not a fan of reading. It somehow doesn't relax me. I'm more the visual type. I like to watch films. And during my recent color analysis of the Bond films, I had to look at every Bond film. So whenever I look at a Bond film, I often see something new that I've never seen before. And this time, it's books. Not this one though. But I found a lot of books hidden in the Bond films. Sometimes they're just lying on a table, sometimes they're in a shelf, and I tried to make the titles of these books identifiable. I tried to look for them, and I found quite a couple. So this bookshelf right under me is still empty, but at the end of this video it will be full to the brim with books that I found in Bond films. And the greatest thing is, below the video you will find links where you can buy the books that you will see now in the video. Some are very rare, some are more common. Sometimes it's not often possible to find the exact copy that was used in the film, but I try to find links where you can buy the most appropriate version. So we start at the very beginning with Dr. No and work our way up to No Time to Die. Hope you have fun. Here's the first one, Dr. No.
The first 4 books come from this bookshelf at Strangway's home in Jamaica, and the second book from the left, just above the transmitter, is the Dictionary of Obsolete English by Richard C. Trench. A possible relation to Sylvia Trench, perhaps? Joking aside, this 288-page book was published in January 1958 and includes terms in the English language that have either changed their meaning or been altogether discarded. Words common in the days of Shakespeare, Dickens and Browning, but today obsolete. A fascinating handbook not merely for the linguist and philologist, but for everyone intrigued by the colourful, the strange and the bizarre in our language. Look at the 6th book from the left in this row. This is the FBI story by Don Whitehead, with a foreword by none other than former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. On 390 pages, the 1956 book takes readers behind the scenes to reveal the record of America's crusade against crime and subversion. You'll read about cases which have made the headlines and celebrated cases, notorious events of the past. When the 3 blind mice kill Strangway's assistant, more of the bookshelf is revealed in the shot, and right in the middle we find White Collar by C. Wright Mills. Originally published in 1951, the 378-page book is a study of the American middle class by sociologist C. Wright Mills. It describes the forming of a new class, the white-collar workers. It is also a major study of social alienation in the modern world of advanced capitalism, where cities are dominated by salesmanship mentality. Finally, to the left of the bookshelf, just next to the statue, lies Walden, a literary masterpiece by Henry David Thoreau, in which he recounts his experiences living in a small house in the woods around Walden Pond near Concord in Massachusetts. Thoreau constructed the house himself with the help of a few friends, and one of the reasons why he moved into it was in an attempt to see if he could live independently and away from society. The 368-page book was first released in August 1854 and is available today in several editions. Next, we skip to 1969 and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Bond uses Boutel's heraldry for his cover as genealogist Sir Hilary Bray. The book in the film is a revised edition of 1966, originally penned by English archaeologist, antiquary and clergyman Charles Boutel in 1867. Since then, it has become a standard, popular heraldic handbook, and is now only available in revised editions such as this one by heraldic writers C.W. Scott Giles and J.P. Brooke Little. Moving on to The Man with a Golden Gun, Andrea Anders can be seen reading a biography about French chanteuse Edith Piaf. Written by her half-sister Simone Berthaud, the 432-page book tells the true, tumultuous story of Edith Piaf, who entertained France and the world with her songs, her loves, her scandals, and herself. The book was first published in January 1969. Later in the film, when Bond surprises Andrea Anders in her hotel room, a book on the writing desk caught my eye. Hong Kong 1974 is from a yearbook series printed by the Hong Kong government press since 1885. Everything that happens in Hong Kong, economically and socially, is meticulously documented in these books, complete with charts and graphics. Probably not unusual that it is found in this hotel room here. Next up is The Spy Who Loved Me, and 3 books that can be seen behind Commander Carter aboard the USS Wayne. The first one is Jane's Fighting Ships 75 to 76, an annual reference book of information on all the world's warships arranged by nation, including information on ships' names, dimensions, armaments, silhouettes, and photographs, etc. Each edition describes and illustrates warships of different national, naval, and paramilitary forces, providing data on their characteristics. The first issue, in 1898, was illustrated with Fred T. Jane's own ink sketches. The series of books is still continuing. Next to it, we find the sister publication, Jane's All the World's Aircraft, which has been in publication since 1909. The first book from the right was hard to get right at first, but it turned out to be Small Arms of the World, in its 10th revised edition from January 1973. The whopping 768-page book is an illustrated encyclopedia of sporting and military weapons, with nearly 2,000 photographs and drawings, detailed characteristics, and operating instructions for the firearms of 42 countries, including both military and sporting arms, and developments worldwide. What more could you wish for? Finally, there is a third book, hidden at an odd place, the rescue capsule at the end of the film. Look on the right side, just beside Anya. This is a 516-page yearbook by famed London auction house Christie's, published in January 1976. It presents a look back on the year 1975 of one of the world's leading firms of fine art auctioneers. I wonder who forgot that in the rescue capsule. An art lover, perhaps? License to Kill is next, and Bond girl Lupe Lamora is seen reading The Price of Power, Kissinger in the Nixon White House, by Seymour M. Hersh. The title becomes recognizable once the book is placed on the bar of Sanchez Mansion. On 698 pages, the book examines Henry Kissinger's influence on the development of the foreign policy of the United States during the presidency of Richard Nixon. It was first published in January 1983. Now, when we stop at this frame from GoldenEye, a really odd book appears on the table of the Manticore yacht in Monte Carlo. It's a picture book about Scandinavia. Not unusual at first, except this one is a German book, released in 1995. I would be really interested to learn how it ended up on this table. Due to the 40th anniversary of the series, 2002's Die Another Day was full of references to previous James Bond films, and so this book was an easy find. It's, of course, the legendary field guide to Birds of the West Indies, written by none other than the original James Bond, the ornithologist from whom Ian Fleming stole the name. For every species, there are notes on diagnostic characters, local names, voice, habitat, nidification, and range. Bond's book is intended for quick reference and is planned to enable the birds of the West Indian Islands to be identified with a minimum of trouble and minimum of description. The edition seen in the film here is really hard to find. It's the Collins Field Guide in its 5th edition. Also briefly visible is The Art of War, an ancient Chinese military treatise dating from the late spring and autumn period, which would be roughly 5th century BC. The work, which is attributed to the ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu, is composed of 13 chapters. Each one is devoted to a different set of skills or art related to warfare, and how it applies to military strategy and tactics. The book exists in many versions and translations, and can also be seen in the opening sequence of No Time to Die, on the table next to Madeleine's mother. In Casino Royale, there are 2 art books to spot. The first one, Matisse Picasso, is in this scene, on the table behind Bond and Solange at the Ocean Club. Published in 2002, this book accompanied an exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art in 2003. It catalogues this exhibit with full text and colour photographs, which sought to explore the relation between Matisse and Picasso, the 2 most significant artists of the 20th century. M seems to be an avid art lover. At least she has a book entitled Great French Paintings from the Barnes Foundation in her apartment. It includes many pictures and descriptions of Impressionist, Post-Impressionist and early modern artworks. In Skyfall, M has a different apartment, but still loves art. The book, The Complete Works of Michelangelo, can be seen on her footrest. This 480-page Taschen edition traces Michelangelo's ascent to the cultural elite of the Renaissance. 10 richly illustrated chapters cover the artist's paintings, sculptures, and architecture, including a close analysis of the artist's tour de force frescoes in the Sistine Chapel. Right next to it, and that was hard to identify, is Robert Lacey's Inside the Kingdom. On 432 pages, journalist Robert Lacey draws on years of access to every circle of Saudi society, giving readers the fullest portrait yet of a land straddling the worlds of medievalism and modernity. Moving from the bloody seizure of Mecca's Grand Mosque in 1979, through the Persian Gulf War to the delicate US-Saudi relations in a post-9/11 world, Inside the Kingdom brings recent history to vivid life and offers a powerful story of a country learning how not to be at war with itself. Appropriate reading for the head of MI6, for sure. This brings us to the final entry in the film series, No Time to Die. A stack of books is visible when Bond encounters Nomi in his Jamaican house. The first 2 are identifiable. First, The Complete Book of Sea Fishing by Trevor Housby. I did not catch, pun intended, much information about the book other than it being published in October 1993. The book lying on top of it, however, is much more famous. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Pirsig. What sounds like a practical non-fiction book is actually a fictionalized autobiography of a 17-day journey that Pirsig made on his Honda CB77 motorcycle from Minnesota to Northern California, along with his son Chris in 1968. The narrator's relationship with his son leads to a powerful self-reckoning. The craft of motorcycle maintenance leads to an austerely beautiful process for reconciling science, religion, and humanism. Resonant with the confusions of existence, this classic is a touching and transcendent book of life and has become the best-selling philosophy book of all time. There is one book I was not able to identify, however, although it can be seen in this scene in Octopussy. The title is unreadable, and believe me, I tried a lot to make it readable. If you know the book, leave me a comment under the video, will be greatly appreciated. Well, at least I own one of the books that appear in the James Bond films, and it's instant Japanese, which can be seen in You Only Live Twice. I actually used it once to train a Japanese greeting when I opened a screening of the film here in my hometown. It's a nice little gem to have in your collection.
And if anything, instant Japanese can provide me the best way to say goodbye to you, because this little book does not only have the words, but added information. So goodbye in Japanese is sayonara. And the book tells me this greeting of farewell is one of the nicest in existence. Do you know what it means? It means, if it must be so. We do not wish to part, but if it must be so, isn't it nice? That's instant Japanese for you. Get this book, people. It's really fantastic. This is the revised edition, by the way. If you go to Remmert van Braam's excellent website, James Bond Lifestyle, you find the difference between the revised edition and the original edition seen in the film. I have the revised edition, but so it's not screen original, but it was like €2 and something on Amazon, so it's a nice little thing to have. With that, sayonara, and have a great day.